Hello, once again, this is Brother Teacher. I want to thank you in advance for inviting me into your homes, your offices, into your space, and for sharing my videos and watching my videos and even commenting on the context of my specific videos that you watched. In this particular installment, I would like to throw a subject out concerning spouses. And the question for today is, are you embarrassed by your spouse for one or various reasons? Sometimes in a relationship, uh, usually not early on, but later on in a relationship, there are things that tend to develop that were not issues with us in the earlier stages of our relationships, such as when you first met that particular man. Ladies, he may have been tall, dark, handsome, and very well endowed physically, strong, worked out in the gym, and so on. But as time progresses, he begins to lose his hair. He starts to bald, i.e., Brother Teacher, a little bit right here, and begins to lose his teeth, even. Or he begins to lose even his muscle tone, and he becomes a little less active than he used to be in the earlier part of your relationship. Or he may even have some bad habits that were not habits, or even habits that have perhaps escalated, and these things may at some point turn you off. Now, and also on the flip side of that, guys, you may have met this young lady, uh, voluptuous body, beautiful face, sparkling personality, long hair, and over a period of time, after you have been in a relationship with that person, she begins to, maybe after childbirth, gain some additional weight, maybe even some extreme amount of weight. Or she starts to gray, where she had, long black silky hair in the beginning, and now her hair is graying. Or she may have even had blonde hair, and her hair is graying. And her hair may even be, let's say, breaking off over a period of time, and her hair is now shorter. Whatever the case is, somewhere down the road again, we find a reason to not like or love the individual as much, or be as affectionate to that person as we did in the earlier stages of our relationship. I'm going to point out a few things, even though I've touched on some already, that may be issues as far as you being embarrassed by your partner. Now, when I say embarrassed, I'm talking about, when you go out in public, you're ashamed, to have that individual with you. I'm just going to cut to the chase. Or you may even be around family members, or even your best friend or friends, and you may not like to have that partner around them because one or more of these issues might indeed be an issue. So, are you ashamed of your spouse? Do you have a spouse that is lazy and they don't want to work around the house? They don't want to do anything to assist you. Let's say the husband doesn't want to wash dishes when your hands are full with the children, ladies. It could be the same on the flip side. Maybe the wife doesn't want to do the dishes, or doesn't have time to do the dishes, because she might be the one that's carrying the load in terms of work, because the husband may be incapacitated due to an injury, or probably handicapped, or so forth. I can relate to this. Okay? Maybe you have a problem that your spouse can't cook. Men, primarily, I'm talking about you. I believe that women's job, and I'm not being a chauvinist or a feminist, I believe that women should carry the brunt traditionally as far as cooking in the home. Now, if peradventure you have a specific or certain situation where, again, the woman or the wife in the relationship is working and carrying the load financially in the home, then men, you ought to just pull your sleeves up, start washing dishes, and start cooking. And if you don't know how to cook, shame on you. You really should have known this. This is one of those things that men and women should learn at an early age to be able to provide minimally for themselves. So you should help one another in this regard. There's no such thing to me in just the woman washing all of the dishes all of the time or cooking all of the meals all of the time. Sometimes husbands and male partners, you need to support your companion, your partner. Okay? And this is true also conversely. Now, you might also have a spouse that you're afraid to tell them that their breath is bad or they have bad breath odor, halitosis, however you want to label it, or even body odor in general. Now, it could be true with either one. Sometimes women can have a bad body odor as well as men. And sometimes because of love and because of retribution, if you will, I hope not, but we don't want to bring this up because we might think it's going to cause certain feelings to rise, such as animosity towards the person that told you. Even when you tell it to them in the most loving way, sometimes people just don't receive that information or type of information very well at all. So all you really need to do is try to get in the habit or the routine of just conversating, having good wholesome conversation with your spouse on either side together mutually, and just subtly in a very loving way, as I forestated, tell them or even encourage them to do certain things that would correct those problems. Let's say it's body odor. Take a shower or a bath together. Okay, that's a start. Or if it's as I said, bad breath, say, sweetheart, your breath is a little strong, or can I help you with, maybe some mints, or give you some sort of herbal cure and or remedy for that, And if you don't know of a remedy or something that you can do for that particular problem, you need to be doing some research. I mean, you have YouTube, you have Google, you have a lot of avenues that you can research and find out answers to most of your problems, our problems. Okay. Now, I just touched on that. What if you have someone who's addicted to drugs or alcohol? You have a family member like that? I'm sure we all have that one uncle or that one aunt or even son or daughter that might have an alcoholic problem. Even moms and dads have those issues. Now, I know this firsthand too because I have dealt with, not myself personally being an addict, I've dealt with addicts all or most of my life, friends and associates, and even family members that were dependent or seemed to be dependent upon these vices, alcohol and or drugs, and they just couldn't seem to kick it. And one thing that I found out a long time ago is that when you have issues with alcoholism especially, and drugs is another issue, but with alcoholism especially, a lot of times it all began with pain, something that you were dealing with or trying to deal with or even trying to escape early on in your life, and you have never come to terms with it. Then you turn to the bottle. That's really it. And as opposed to facing the issue and or problem, it's easier for us to try to mask it, with beer or wine or hard liquor or whatever the case is. And it's a sad thing. And really, again, it's a matter of hurt. You're hurting. You have guilt for some reason. Maybe you lost your children to death. Maybe you lost your children even to the system, child protection. Maybe you lost a loved one and that you didn't say goodbye to, and you had some tiff with that person, or you had some issues with that person, and you had a whole lot of conflict that you never resolved before they passed away. It could be your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle, your own child. It doesn't matter. But you turn to alcohol as not a remedy, but as a temporary fix, and then you end up abusing that substance. Could have been that. So if you have a person in your life that's dealing with alcoholism, just understand in most cases, 99.9% of the time, it's a result of pain. So again, we need to try to sit down with that individual, hopefully in their sober mind, and have a conversation with them and let them know that we love them, that we care about them, and that we're there for them and trying to help them. Now, you can't browbeat them, you can't berate them and jump on them too hard, because some people want to say it's a disease. I think it's more psychological than it is a disease, because that's another subject in and of itself. But we have to show them love. And sometimes it has to be tough love or firm love. So that's it on that. And I think once you understand that as far as the alcoholism is concerned, then you can kind of segue into the drug addiction, because that could be the same issue as well, pain, or it could be an individual who started out with a drug such as marijuana, and then that became a catalyst for them going into something even harder, and then they became addicted. And it could just simply be that it's an addiction only. They're used to the feeling, and then they begin to spiral out of control, if you will. Okay, so the same thing is true. We need to sit down and talk to those people that we care about. Okay, now another reason that you might be ashamed of someone, one of those other reasons could be the fact that your spouse had a lot of hair when you first met them, and now they're balding. That's not a reason to be ashamed of your spouse. I'm going to try to bring this home in a moment after I finish these other few. Another one is when your spouse used to be real big, and solid muscle, either male or female. When I say solid muscle, I'm just saying a firm body for the most part. And I spoke about the females or the young ladies being voluptuous early on. Sometimes over a period of time they might thin out and they look a little sick, for whatever reason, and that may not be appealing to us anymore. And then women, as far as their husbands and or spouses is concerned, the guy doesn't have the strong, big, bulky chest and arms that he used to, because maybe he's gained weight over the years, and maybe he's not active for maybe medical reasons and so forth, and so he just doesn't work out or exercise like he did when you all first met or got together. And the other issue along that same line would be obesity. What if you have someone that's very heavy, gained a lot of weight, and the female and the male, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, for using the term male and female, if it offends you, there are some people who have a problem with that, and not necessarily the majority of my viewers, if you will, but I've had someone make a statement when a female, that is, a woman, made a statement about me using the term female. I don't see an issue with it. It's a division of the sexes. It's either you're male or female. I don't want to always say male and female or man and woman. I kind of interchange those, because I think any mature adult understands what I'm talking about. But anyway, oftentimes when you have a woman in a relationship, the man looks at her, as this Amazonian type of image. She's really petite. Her body's banging and all of this type of thing, and she's okay aesthetically in the beginning to that man, and as she begins to wear on him after a period of time, years and so forth, she begins to gain weight, especially if she's had children, and she becomes, in some instances, distasteful to the man's sight. And he won't necessarily say that, but there are men who will actually talk about their spouse's weight. and giving them this inferiority complex or this insecurity complex, if you will, and that's unwarranted. You should never talk about your mate in a negative light. If you have something to say to them concerning their, if you want to call it imperfections or their lack of ability to do things and so forth, you should do that behind the walls of your own home and not in public, not amongst friends, not amongst associates, your fellow employees, or even your family. Those things you talk about intimately between one another. Okay? So if you have gained a lot of weight, men or ladies, if you have gained a lot of weight, be okay with that. Now, ultimately, it would be a health issue. So you may want to try to figure out some way to modify your lifestyle as it relates to exercise and diet. And so that's what the other partner should be saying to either of you. If you're female or male, your partner should be telling you in a loving way again, dear heart, baby, you picked up a little weight. I'm concerned for your health. I'm going to start working out with you. I'm going to start exercising with you. I'm going to set up a plan for both of us. We both may have gained weight. You see how simple that is? It really is. Okay, the other thing, and then I'm going to conclude, handicapped. Years ago, there used to be within the marriage vows, for better or for worse, till death do us part. And in many wedding ceremonies, they've all but omitted that statement or those statements, and people are making up their own vows to one another. And I think it is unfair, because it should be for better or for worse. Why are you marrying someone? Why are you hooking up with this other human being, this other person, this other mind, this other soul, if it's not for true love? If you truly love someone, no matter what occurs in your life that changes the aesthetic beauty of that person, or the ability of that person to perform even in bed, or the ability of that person to even get up and move around like they used to because of an injury or because of a handicap, something that developed throughout the relationship. They were in a car wreck. Their spine was crushed. They're immobile now. They're confined to a wheelchair. They're confined to a bed. Those things should never cause you to be embarrassed because of your loved one. Or as a matter of fact, excuse me, this gets kind of close to me because I've seen this happen so many times. Personally, I've seen this happen. When you're standing in a mall and your husband or your spouse puts his or her arm around you, you should never shy away as if that's uncomfortable to you, because that's your spouse. Now, if you have to do that, you really need to question yourself, not them. If they're pouring out their soul to you and they love you, but you love them based on a condition, oh, you're not handsome anymore, or even you're not pretty enough, or you're not pretty like you used to be. What is going on? I gotta take my glasses off for this. This might be redundant. I apologize to all of you all that are watching. I had to leave a couple times because I had customers walk in the store. But I want to drill this home to you. Love is something that should never change. Love is the strongest emotion that we have, not anger. Love is. Love should last regardless of circumstance. If your spouse, I'm not going to go back and forth with male and female because I'm talking about both, but if your spouse loses their hair, their love should be the same. If they lose the ability to walk and they're confined to a wheelchair or even a bed because of an accident or a disease or some sort of medical condition, your love should be the same. If they lose their job and they were very constructive in the beginning and very helpful in the beginning as far as their income was concerned to the family, and they lose their job for some reason that was beyond their control, you should have compassion and sympathy and empathy for that loved one. Don't beat them up, especially when they're trying. It would be different if they're not putting forth any effort, but if they were your main source for the family's income, then you need to gird up your loins, take a deep breath, and try to prepare yourself to help the family until that person can get back on their feet. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's real love. And if they have a problem with alcoholism or drug addiction, you should understand that as well. But there is nothing that should ever make you ashamed or embarrassed of your loved one when you were okay with them in the beginning. If, and God forbid, when I say if that person is doing something intentionally that is detrimental or would be detrimental to you and the family, you may want to reconsider that relationship. I'll just leave it there. But if it is not that case, or her breath smells, or he has body odor, or he's passing wind, or he's belching at the table, or I don't like, the fact that he likes watching a certain program on television and doesn't spend time with me. All of these things can be rectified through communication. But the problem is nowadays that a lot of us in relationships don't talk to our partner. We don't even put forth the effort. We just live these like coexistent relationships where even though we're under the same roof in the same house, we do our own thing, we go our own direction, and it should not be that way. What we should do instead is, even though there's two in the partnership or the relationship, both parties should be thinking the same way, and that is, let me get something started. Let me be the first person. Let me be the one who initiates the conversation. Sweetheart, let's go out for a walk. Darling, would you like to go out and have lunch? Sweetheart, would you like to go and take in a movie? Even if they say no, at least you have put forth the effort. So we need to do that more regular. Sometimes husbands or guys, fix your spouse breakfast. Surprise them while they're asleep. Get your behind up out the bed and go cook a meal. Bring it to their bedside and say, I love you. And ladies, if you haven't learned to cook, you just ought to. And the same is true with you guys. If you haven't learned to cook or you don't want to cook, you better get in the habit of doing it. And if you don't know how to cook, you need to learn how to cook. At least the basic stuff. And I'm not talking about boiling hot dogs and frying the egg. I'm talking about cooking a conventional meal, not microwaved. Okay? So the question again, does your spouse embarrass you? They should never embarrass you. And if you feel embarrassed by something that you know that can be controlled, talk to them. That's it.